Howdy everybody, Chrissy here. Last week I was with you showing you how to make this little improvised bow saw. This week I'm out with this very same bow saw and I'm looking for a little sapling or a little young tree that I can cut down to show you how to make a proper buck saw. With just simple hand tools, it's easy. It's a good little tool to have in your arsenal. If it's something that you've been curious about, you want to learn how to do, stay tuned, we're going to get it done. Alrighty guys, so as far as my uprights, these are 12 to 13 inches long. That is up to you. If you want more clearance between your blade and your cross piece here, you're going to want, to make longer uprights. But for me, I only need about an inch clearance between my hand and the blade. I'm not going to be cutting huge logs with this, so for today's purposes, 12-inch cross pieces. Now, I'm going to show you how to prepare these. Alrighty guys, so the next step really, you don't have to peel yours, debark yours. I did because this is tulip poplar and I want it to dry really well. If you're working with dry wood, there's no need to even be concerned about this because, your wood's not gonna shrink. If you're using green wood, this is gonna shrink just a little bit so as it dries. So just taking the bark off is gonna expedite that process. Plus, I think it gives it a nice finished look and you won't have to worry about that bark coming loose on you. Anyway, the very next step is to pick which side you want to be your bottom end, and then we're going to do a little 1 inch worth of whip or lashings here. Yellow jacket. That's going to help the wood to keep from splitting here, because we're going to need to cut a little groove for our blade to sit in. So I come up about that far, put about a 1 inch whip on it. And if you haven't seen a whip or know how to do a whip, I'm going to show you that real quick. Alright, so I want my lashings to end about 3/4 of an inch to an inch down, right above the end of my nail there. So I want my whip to be about this long, about an inch. So got my tail in here. Got my working in here. This is a little tricky. We'll get going here in just a second. Bring this over your tail, just like that. Push down. Okay. Bring your working end. Get a hold of it. Come on. Bring your working end around the back side here over your working end. Pull it tight, pinch it down. And once you get one going, it's not too bad. Okay. Alright, so now that we're at the end, you take the end of this, thread it through your little loop there, trying to hold it all tight. Okay, come down here on your tail end and pull this through. And you're going to pull that halfway, 3/4 through. So I get on both sides. And this in on itself should hold, but most people would nip it here, especially if they use paracord, but I am not. And I know that this might loosen up in a week or two when this wood dries, so I just tie this on itself. It's not pretty, but It's not pretty, but you can nip it off in a week or two when it all dries out. Because you might have to tie or retie these lashings and tighten it up just a wee bit. Okay. Alrighty guys, so now that I've got my two ends of my uprights lashed, I'm going to mark the ends here where I want the blade to lay, and then I'm going to baton those out. Perfect. And as you see, the lashings served their purpose and kept this from splitting on out. Alright, the next thing to do is to fit your blade in the little groove you just made for yourself. Alrighty guys, so we've got our uprights. Now we got to get our horizontal. So we've got our blade hung there, and we're gonna place this about where we want it. Make sure that we've got the appropriate clearance that we're looking for. And I think that's about right for me. And then I'm gonna pull this over to about where I want it. You don't want to go any more than halfway when you make your point, when we cut the V-notch for this to fit into. And then just kind of get an eyeball. I don't want it to come any deeper right here because that's where the log is. And I want the point to be right here. And we'll do that on both sides. Making sure I got about the same amount. This is just going to give me, this is just going to give us a point of reference. Alright, so we're going to whittle this out, then we're going to make our V-notches. So we're going to try to remove this material, and always take less than I think that I'm going to need. That way I can adjust a little bit as I go in case I need a correct course. So roll it up like this. Start back here. Alrighty guys, so we've chipped away at the end, got them kind of on a point. Mine aren't perfect, but this is where you correct course. So we set them here, and we figure out roughly where we want it to go. Holding it in place exactly where you want it. Trace the tip there onto your upright, and then that's going to give you a little bit of reference as to where you need to make your V-notch. So apparently my camera kicked off at one of the vital parts. Okay, I'm going to show you how I accomplished this. Starting right here, follow it all the way up to where you've got your V-notch, or your V markings for your notch. Come right up the center, right here. And then all I did was baton. I took this, batoned it in there. And then once I got, that way it was perfectly down the center, like that. And then I pulled my knife out and I just started taking little bites off this side. And that's how you get your V-notch. Do it on this side, rotate and do it on this side, and just periodically stop in line. Periodically stop and take your cross section and just see how you're fitting. That way you don't go too deep. Now that we've hung this all up and I know that it fits well, now we've got to go up here and make a little notch on the back side, similar to how we made this, only on the reverse side, so that we can put our cordage, so that we can use our windlass to tighten it up. Alright guys, so I've got my upright off. This is the back of it. The cut notch is over on this side, so we're going to come up. You can lightly put a line if it'll help you, but we're going to come up right to the end here. Doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to go right here. You want to leave yourself about 1/2 inch from the top and make a line. And you're going to want to come down about the same distance. So make yourself a little T right there. Make sure you're good and lined up one final time. And of course some uneven dirt, and just whack. That's gonna serve as our back cut. That way we don't blow the end out, like I said. And now we're just gonna take little chips out of it like we did with the other. And just start making little bites. Taking little bits out like that. And then until you kind of create your depth that you want. And just kind of come back off of it a little bit each time. Cut some little pieces out. See? And just keep going until you get a respectable size groove. Alright, so that ought to do. And we're going to do both sides. So, got it all put together, fits good. Now we've got to put our tensioning cord on top and our windlass. And I did, for transparency purposes, I want to point out, I did blow the end off of that one. You got to be careful. But you know, if you make a mistake, don't worry, correct course, improvise, keep going. Got to be kind to ourselves, right? Alright. And I'm going to string that top up. So you could do just one revolution around with this bank line, but I'm going to do two since it is so thin. But that is up to you. Again, your prerogative. Whatever you find works best for you. If you're using paracord, you could just use one strand. It'd be tight enough. But yeah, make sure you've got everything in place. It's not pretty right here in the middle. You could work it out to where it's over to one side, but you know, I'm not worried about pretty. I'm just worried about it working, so I'm gonna put it right here in the middle. Nip it off. Alrighty, so I've got my windlass whittled out. You don't even have to do this. You can just use a twig. But I like to flatten it a little bit on each side, just a little, and leave a little nub up here, just to kind of help keep it from pulling out on itself. So through like this, top strings, about up there where that nub is at, and then just flip it on itself a few times. Nothing complicated. Just go, go, go. Start to get some tension on it. When you start to get that tension, make sure you've got all your pieces pressed into place as you want them. And now we're really cranking down on it and putting the tension on. And then it's about as tight as it's gonna go. Bring it through one last revolution and set it on itself like that. And you, my friends, have made a buck saw. Now let's go cut some wood with it. Alrighty guys, I'm going to try to show you a little shot of this dude in action. Now keep in mind this is a really old blade. The reason I have it as an extra blade is because I've already took it off another saw and replaced it. So yeah, it might be a little dull, but I'm still going to show you how well it works. Boom. Perfect. And this is an old grody blade, so you can imagine if you brought a brand new one. Alrighty guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm losing the light, so I got to get up out of here. But yeah, a few final takeaways. After this dries, you're going to have to tighten it up a little bit tighter again, you know, keep that in mind. But this is made out of poplar, tulip poplar, which is a tree that grows around here. And it dries really, really light. So that would make, you know, if you make something out of that, keep in mind the type of wood that you source. This could make a really nice little pack down saw for your bag. You know, it's not going to be as quick as a Boreal 21, but it's, you know, free, pretty much. A little elbow grease. But yeah, these blades, this was an old blade. I've looked online and you can get Boreal blade, or excuse me, you can Bahco blades, and they're really awesome saws. And you can find them as low as like $4 a piece on some sites. So if you do a little perusing, you can probably find a really good deal. And yeah, with the Bahco blade, this thing would be a beast. So Anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you found it a little bit informative. And also, always take care of yourselves. Hope to see you again next time.